it should be allowed or not? It should not be allowed. So we should prefer, we should have some client-side validation. All the client-side validations can be handled, okay, using JavaScript and jQuery itself. The client-side validations can be handled using JavaScript and jQuery. Okay, but there are some validations which should happen on the server side. There are some validations which should happen on the server side. Let's consider like we have entered an amount. Okay, the amount should be verified with certain field in the database. Then can we do it on the client side? The amount should be verified with certain field in the database. Now, can we verify that from the JavaScript? See, what my question is, we need to verify. Let's consider like there is amount field which is 1000, but I need to verify the 1000 against to some field in some table, some column in some table in the database. Now, can we connect to the database from JavaScript? No. So, what happens? We need to send the data to the server side. In the server side, okay? Then what we need to do? We need to connect to the database and we need to paste the details from the database and we need to compare. Okay, whether it is a valid amount or not. Okay, there should be some server-side validation as well as there should be some client-side validation. Once the client-side validations are passed, then only the request will come to the server. At the server, what happens? The server-side validation should be passed. Okay. This is the browser we have. See the browser, when I click on submit, okay, it will come to the server. In the server, we have controller. Right? Okay. Now, when the user clicks on submit, first on the client side itself, using the JavaScript code or jQuery code, okay, we need to perform some validation. That in amount field, if I enter the character, okay, or if I enter the amount field, if I enter alphabet or special character, there is a question want that field is not available amount. Okay, some sort of client-side validation we need to do. Okay, once we use client-side validation, once we submit, first all the client-side validations are verified. If client-side validations are false, the client-side means on the JavaScript side, using JavaScript and jQuery, we prove the validation. Okay, once the client-side validations are false, then the control will go to and even on the server side also, we need to perform certain validations. Okay, those are called as server-side validation. Okay, the server-side validations, okay, can be performed. Okay, server-side validations can be performed. Okay, in Spring using Spring validation framework. Okay, Spring validation API. Okay, API means this is classes. In Spring also we have certain classes and entire classes to perform the validation. Okay. Using the Spring validators, we can perform server-side validation in Spring. Okay. Understood what is validation first? All of you know what is validation first? All of you know what is validation? Okay. Just validation is verifying the fidelity of data. Okay. Yes. It can be happened on the client side, it is the browser side, or server can be digital or even on the server side, we can perform the validation. Okay, whether there is correct or not, that meaning it can be client side or both. First is the client side, the validation is false, and we can display the result to the server side, and the server side also will perform the validation. Now, how we can perform the validations on the server side? Now, In order to perform the validations on the server side, okay, we need to have it is checking. A validator. Let me write a new class which is login validator. Login validator implements validator of Spring or .Spring framework validation. Okay, just validator of or .Spring framework validation. Okay, this validator interface contains two methods. One is supports, second one is validator. There are two methods. One is supports, another one is validator. Supports class login. Now, can we check the validity of the username in the client side? Can we check the validity of the username in the client side? Yes or no? Can we check the validity of the username in the client side? Yes? Can we check the validity of the username in the client side? No, just because the username and password obviously they will be stored in the database. Okay? We need to verify against the database only. We cannot verify them client side. So, just let's consider like I have got the information right from the database. Let's consider like I have got the information from the database. Like just I'm hard coding here, but in general I will get this information from the database. Okay. But temporarily I'm hard coding here, but in general I will get the information from the database. Okay. Okay, username is Ravi and password is Ravi. Then if login dot get username, this button is if not, if the username okay, if the username equals login.username and password equals login.password, okay, then if both are true, what it will become? What it will become? False or true? See, if both are true, what this selection will give? If this is a correct username and correct password, what the selection will give? True. So now true is false. Let's consider that. Okay. If username is matched but password is not matched, then what the selection will give? False. Okay. Not false means true. That means when it will come to into this if? When it will come to this if there is a login problem due to username or password. If the password is incorrect or username is incorrect, it will come inside. So here what I will do means the field name, just the comments. Okay, there is a problem, then I'll reject the value. This is not a valid password. Okay, now let me see. Let me give some system.println in validate method. Okay, let me keep in some system order in the run. Supports. Okay, and let me come here and let me keep some system order in the run. Okay, now just I have developed a simple validator. Okay, just if there is a problem, then I'll use errors class. Okay, the errors I'll give. I have different methods like errors dot reject value, errors dot reject. Okay, and reject value means rejecting the value on a specific field. Reject means just not on a specific field. Generally, we are giving some validation errors. Okay. Reject value means rejecting the value of a specific field. Just reject means rejecting in general. Okay. Now, let me try to. Now I have created a validator. Once I have created a validator, let me try to configure the validator that whenever I submit the login form, this validator should be called. So where I can configure that means the Spring files itself. While configuring the controller itself, okay. Just first let me configure the validator class. First let me configure the validator class. Here I have configured the validator class. Okay. Now let me map this validator class to this login controller. Property name equal to the property name should be validator and yes. The reference is login value. Okay, the reference is login value. Okay, now let me try to see how it works. Okay. Let me try to start the server. I have started the server. Now let me try to execute the application. Okay, let me give username as Rajesh, password as Rajesh13. Okay, and let me click on submit. See, while loading the form, which methods are executed? Whether supports and form backing object and a reference data. Okay, now if I try to submit, what happens? Again, form backing object, this is first set, right? While loading, supports, form backing object and reference data is executed. But after submission, form backing object, supports, validator is executed. Again, a reference data is executed. Why again reference data is executed means, again the form is loaded. Is the form submitted? Is the form submitted? No. Let me give Rajesh some content. Is the form submitted? No. If you see here, there will be a validation error. Let me try to okay, let me try to restart the server. And refresh the application. Okay, if I submit, let me clear the screen. Submit. What happens? Form backing object is executed, okay, and supports is executed, and validate method is executed. In the validate method, what happens? There is a validation error. If there is a validation error, is it going to reference data? Sorry, is it going to on submit? Is it going to on submit if there is a validation error? Yes. How you can tell yes? See, telling yes or no is very easy. Okay, before everybody, I am not expecting you to tell yes or no before everybody. I am expecting you to analyze, understand, even late you should tell the correct answer. After validating? What my question is? After validate method or after validating, is it going to the on submit method? Now, if you see the controller on submit method, okay, I have given system.out.println on submit. Now, is it printed? Is it printed? Is this content printed in the console? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? This content is not printed in the browser. In the console. That means, is on submit method executed? No, on submit method will never be executed if there is a server side validation. If the validation is successful, then only the control will go to on submit. Okay, the control will go to on submit only if there is no validation error. If there is some validation error, again it will come back to the form view. Okay, in the form view, is it erasing the data? Is it erasing the username data? But password data, how it will erase? Okay, it will not erase the username data. Okay, it will not erase the username data. Anyhow, since password is a very secure one, it will erase the data. Okay, that's how it will behave. Understood? Okay. See, whenever I am submitting the form, first it will make a call to the validator. Whether the validator, if a validator is configured, then we will make a call to the validator. In the validator, first what it will do? It will make a call to the supports. Okay? What supports will do means, it will check whether we are validating the correct class or not. It will check whether we are validating the correct class or not. Let's consider like I have used login validator for registration servlet. I have used login validator for registration form. Is it the correct thing? Knowingly or unknowingly, I have kept login validator for registration form. Then what happens? While typecasting, it will be a class cast exception. To avoid that, first it will come to supports. Then we explicitly tell if the currently validating command class is login.class. If currently validating command class is login, then only we support the validation. Otherwise, we won't support the validation. That supports will do. Okay? If the currently validating or if the currently using command class is login, then only we support the validation. Otherwise, we won't support the validation. If supports return true, then only it will come to validate method. If supports returns false, then it will not come to the validate method. Understood? The first part, supports, just we are cross-checking. Okay? We are cross-checking whether currently we are using login form or not. Or whether currently we are using the login command class or not. Just cross verification whether we are using login command class or not currently, or the currently submitted form is using login command class or not. Yes, currently submitted form is using login command class. Now it comes to the validate method. Okay, in the validate method we are checking. Okay, in the validate method what we are doing? We are checking. Okay, whether some business condition, some business validation we are doing. Okay, if some validation fails, then I am providing some reject value. Okay, reject value. First one is the name of the property of the command class. So first is the property of the command class, and next is the messages. Okay, and the next one. So once the validation fails, it will go back to the view. So once the validation fails, is it executing the reference data again? Once the validation is failed, is it executing the reference data again? Yes or no? Yes. Just because once again the form is loaded. Once again the form is loaded means once again the reference data will be executed. Understood? Now let me give a successful validation. Now, if you see here, form backing object supports validate. Now it is coming to onSubmit. Okay, it will come to onSubmit only if validation errors are not there. If there are any server-side validation, then it will not come to the onSubmit. The form will not be submitted. The form will be successfully submitted only if there are no server-side validation errors. There are server-side validation errors, obviously the form will not be successfully submitted. It will not be executing onSubmit method. Understood? How the validation works, how the server-side validation works. Now, I am prompting any message to the user. Let's consider like, I am coming here. Let's consider like, I am coming here and I am entering Rajesh. I am entering submit. Okay. If I see here, let me clear the screen. I am entering submit. Now it's coming to form backing object supports validate, and there is a validation error. So again it is loading the form. So it is calling reference data. Now I am prompting any message to the user that the username is failed or password is not correct or something like that. But can the user understand if it is like this? Can the user understand? If the user is entering username and password means he will be in assumption that username and password is correct. But if we clarify that username and password is not correct, then only he can come to know. But if you prompt like this, can the user come to know if there is a validation error? If we directly, let's consider like I have given wrong username and wrong password and click on submit. Now, is it allowing the user to submit a form? No. But it's not enough, right? We are restricting the user from submitting the form is okay. But is it enough? No. We should tell the user that you have entered the wrong username or wrong password. Okay? Then how I can capture that validation is failed in the JSP page? See, if you want to display the message to the user, we should capture which is there any failure? Okay, is there any server side validation happen? Or is there any validation failure occurred? Okay, in the JSP page. We could be able to check the validation errors in the JSP page. In the JSP page, we need to verify whether there are any validation errors or not. Okay, now how I can check whether there are any validation errors or not in the JSP page means yes, where is it? In the login.jsp. Or let me give it as print. Okay. Now let me refresh this page. Let me close this. Let me open it again. Let me enter the username. Okay. Now is the message displayed? There is some login failure. There is error while login. Okay. Now let's consider like if there is a registration form. Let's consider like if you go for Naukri or Monster. Okay. You have almost 20 fields in the same page. We have almost 20 fields in the same page. Okay. If you have 20 fields in the same page, okay. If you display a generic message like this, you have the form, the page cannot be submitted. Just if we have 20 fields in the Naukri form, and you click on submit. Let's consider like 3 or 4 fields are missing among those 20 fields, or some of the fields are incorrect. Okay, then if we submit, then if we display a generic message like this, hi, there is a problem in submitting, then can the user understand why it is not submitted properly? Just if you display a generic message like this, you cannot able to submit the form, okay, because there are errors in the data that you have entered. If I display the message like that, then can the user understand why it is a problem? If we display the message like this, the user cannot understand why it is a problem. We need to display the error messages to the user to the maximum extent that is possible, even at the field level. Like why this field is a problem. Let's consider like among the 20 fields, there are 3 fields a problem. Then we need to display the message corresponding to those fields. Why some X field is a problem, why some Y field is a problem, why some Z field is a problem. Then the user can answer, I have problem with the 3 fields, I enter some correct data in those fields. But if you display a generic message like this, what happens? The user cannot understand which fields are problematic or why the fields are problematic. So the error messages should be at the level of the field. Okay, now I could able to display my error message, but the error message is generic. It's not at the level of the field. But in general, in any form, the error message should be at the level of the field. Okay? Now, if you want to display the error message at the level of the field, okay? Now let me. Okay. Just at the field level I am finding. If there is any error with username, then I am telling that username is invalid. If there is any error in the password, then I am telling that password is invalid. At a very granular, at a very field level, I am telling that there is error with this field. Okay? At a very field level, I am telling that there is error with this field. Now let me execute this and you can note it down. Let me close the browser. Let me reopen the browser. Now it is executing validate. It was storing the this in the cache, so the problem was there. So let me remove the cache. Copy this, close the browser, again open the browser. Sorry? But why this? Let me see. Let me give only username so that we can understand. So let me give only password. Okay, I'm not filling the username. Now I am filling only the password. Now let me restart the server. Let me copy this. Close the browser. Start the browser again. Okay. Let me give username. It's not the correct one. I'll explain the field level setting in the next class. Since very long time we have used remember it exactly. Okay, but we can do that. Okay, right now just note down up to this. Just I'll show you the field level settings in the next class. Okay, but we can display the message at the field level, like why the username is the problem, why the password is the problem, why some X is the problem, why some Z is the problem. We can show that using Spring. Just this has been errors, what it will do means, just it will check whether it has any errors bound to this form or not. To the name of the has been errors, okay, we will give the form. If there are errors bound to this form, then give. Let me remove this, not required. Just go for username and password. That's it. Oh, now just write the validator class. Just I'll change this validator. Okay, so if username Okay, just write this.
Remember to
You know, Sharath will share this example, but try the basic thing. See, first we need to check whether the username is correct or not. The username itself doesn't exist. Why you should check the password? Huh?
same argument second
Same arguments. See, the first one is it's not a actual message. It's the properties file. This will give the code of the properties file. That's not required now. But what happens is the second argument will give the code, error code. Okay. The third argument is the default message. The second argument is the error code. Third argument is the default message. For the first, what it will do means, for the first argument, it will check, okay, in the properties file whether the default error code exists or not. Or let me give like this. It will be better. Okay, it will check for this error code in any of the configured properties files. This it will try to find, okay, error code with this key in the properties files. Okay, so if it is found means then it will display the value. The third one is the default. Okay, if error message is not found, okay, if any message with that code is not found in the properties files, in the configured properties files, then what it will do? It will give you the default message. It will be like that. Yes, it will try to find the error code in the properties files. If the corresponding message is found in the properties files, then it will display that message. If not found, then it will display the default. Third one is the default.
per 16 line.
Okay. Just see, command object is of type object. What we are doing, we are typecasting command into login. See, we cannot write separate validate method for each and every class. So, the validate method is a generic, the validator is a generic one, and the validate method is a generic. So, see, we cannot, the Spring people cannot generate a separate validate method for person class, or separate for address class, or separate for some login class, or separate for some other class. So, generically they have given it as object. So, we know that it is a object class. Sorry, we know that it is a login class, right? So, just we are typecasting the command which is of type login. Sorry, command which is of type object into login. So, if you are not typecasting, what happens? We can use only object class members. Can we use get username or get password if we use directly command? That's why we are typecasting. Just that is typecasting. Did you listen core Java? Did you listen core Java classes? Typecasting. Where will you get the
Command.
That means your question is not about the typecasting. Your question is from where we are getting the command object.
From where we are getting the command. What is in the typecasting?
See, what is the need of typecasting there means? See, are we executing login.get username? We are not executing. What is this? Then can we execute object command.get username? Can we execute like this command.get username? Can we execute like this? Yes or no? Just because get username doesn't exist in the object class. So what we are doing? We are trying to typecast that command into login. The reference is of type object, but the actual object is of login only. So we are trying to typecast the command into login so that we can make use of get username or get password which are specific to login. That's the first question. Second question is from where we are getting this command object. Okay? See, when we submit the form, okay, Spring automatically will create the command object, and Spring automatically, okay, Spring automatically will, while loading the form itself, Spring will create the command object. While loading the form itself, Spring will create the command object. And when we submit the form, what happens? The Spring will bind the specific property to HTML component. Okay? When you load the form, that's what we have discussed yesterday, right? When we load the form, Spring will create the command object, and when we submit the form, what happens? Spring will attach the value, or Spring will bind the value of this HTML component to the specific attribute of the command object. So when we submit the form, okay, already command object is there. That command object itself will go to the validate method. Okay, while loading the form itself, Spring will create the command object, and the Spring will send the command object to the validate method. Okay, and the same command object, if you on a successful login, the same command object will go to the on submit method. On a successful login, the same command object will go to the on submit method. See, everything is managed by Spring. We are not transferring anything. We are not creating the command object, or we are not appending the values to the command object, or we are not transferring the command object. Everything will be taken care by Spring. Okay? Got the clarity or still confusion? What? Error?
How can we enter everything
in the browser? That's what I was trying to print, but there is a problem. Okay, I'll tell you.
We want to validation server side, we use method.
No, it's not the case. The validations validations that are specific to the data type will be done in the client side. Let's consider like there are some validations like in a field, okay, in a specific field, if there is some username, let's consider like if there is the amount field. In the amount field, if you enter characters, that is a very basic validation that can be done in the client side. Okay, but not all validations are done in the client side. Maximum validations are done only on the server side. So that then only it can be reliable, then only it can be secure. So if you do it on the client side or in the HTML page or the JavaScript, okay, all the persons can in the browsers we can track the JavaScript code. Okay, so an unknown person can track my business logic, how I am validating the form. If you see how I am validating the form, he can do anything with the code, right? So in most of the cases, we won't perform any business related server client side validation. Just the formatting related or the data related server client side validation can be there. But if we perform this validation on the client side, what happens? Our business logic can be exposed to the client. See, we can see the JavaScript code by some tools. We can see JavaScript code by making use of some tools. Let's consider like in the IE. Is it IE8? It's IE9. But why developer tools is not working? No? You see here, we could able to see some code related to HTML, okay, or CSS, or if any script is available, okay, we can see even JavaScript code also. But if we are performing the validations in the JavaScript, what happens? Our business logic, our validation logic is exposed to the client, okay. But if we expose the basic validation, let's consider like if you are entering any alphabets in a numeric field, okay, we are writing some server side client side validation. If that is exposed, there is no problem. But if you are exposing the business related validation functionality, then it will be a really problem. So the server in general, at maximum, the business related validations will be performed only at the server side. Okay, for better security as well as for better maintenance. Okay, if it is in the client side, it will not be much secure. Just because using this some of the tools like this, we can see the JavaScript code. Okay. Over. Now, how we can configure the validator in the XML file means it is just using this. Just we configure the validator class. We configure the validator class using main ID equals validator class or something, and for the same we use the property. What? Now, the next is, this will complete the simple form controller. Okay, sorry. Again, one more thing is, in the validator, rather than going for errors, okay, we can make use of error class. Validator details directly. Validation details dot reject if empty. For the basic validation, if empty or blank, then we can do using validation details. Errors, what is the field? Error code. For the basic validation, okay, we need not to go for these conditions. If we login.get username is not equal to null or something else. Okay, for the basic validation, we need not to go for if and else conditions. Directly we can use validation details dot reject if empty. If it is empty, if username is empty, if username is empty, then obviously it will reject. Okay, we need not to check again and again. Okay, this if it is empty, directly we can use it. Okay, rather than checking login.get username is not equal to 1, null, and sim.link is getting 0, some, rather than checking all those conditions, directly we can do it. No. See, client side, we can do any validation on the client side. But it's not available to do any validation, any business related validation on the client side. That's what I told you. The very first thing is, we cannot keep the track. If it is on the server side, we can keep the track using the log file. Do you know about log files? Okay. See, whenever we log in or log out, or whenever we do any operation in application, we enter some description in the log file. Let's say select so and so user has logged in at so and so time. So for the future audit purpose, it will be used. Okay, so if there is any validation error, then we can maintain a log that so and so user has tried at so and so time to log in, but he could not able to log in, so just because of this reason. So we can keep a specific track of that. But if it is server side validation, so if it is client side, we cannot keep a track. We can keep a track as well as it is secure if you go for server side. Okay.
What is error argument will contain? What is error argument will contain?
Errors?
What will contain? The argument error.
Errors? This errors will contain all the list of the validation errors.
All the matters.
All the validation errors, whatever the validation is there. See, we may have 10 validation errors in this method, validate method. How the information will be transferred to the browser? Through the error subject only. Okay, over. Now, the next controller is multi-action controller. Multi-action controller. Multi-action controller. The name itself tells that if we are willing to perform multiple actions on the same bean, we are willing to perform multiple actions on the same bean, then we use this multi-action controller. Or if you want to perform multiple actions on the same command object, if you are willing to perform multiple actions on the same command object, then we use multi-action controller. Okay. Now, how the multi-action controller will work? Let me take a very simple example. Like, I have a user object. I have a user object with username, password, first name, last name. Or let me consider like very simply, I have a person object with person ID and person name. This is my person object, right? I have a person object with person ID and person name. Okay. I can create a person, I can delete a person, I can edit a person, okay, as well as I can update a person. That means these are multiple actions on the same person object. Creation of the person object, search of the person object, updating the person object, or deleting the person object. These are multiple actions of the same person. Rather than writing multiple controllers for multiple actions, what we do is, in general, if you want to perform multiple actions on the same command object, we use multi-action controller. Okay? If you want to perform multiple actions on the same command object, then in general, we go for multi-action controller. Okay? If there is no multi-action controller, what happens means, for each and every action, we should write a separate controller. For search person, we should write a controller like search person controller, add person controller, delete person controller, update person controller. Like this, we should write multiple controllers for multiple actions on the same command object if there is no multi-action controller. But the multi-action controller serves the purpose. We can write the same controllers for multiple actions on the same command object. But that multiple actions will be performed in multiple methods. Within the same controllers, we write multiple methods. Like let's consider like we have a person controller where we write a different method: add person, update person, delete person, and search for person. Okay, all these are person related activities. Rather than writing separate controllers for separate actions on the same person, why can't we write all the actions in the same class? Yes, we can write them using multi-action controller, but for each and every action, adding addition is an action. For one action, there will be one method. For update, one method will be there. For delete, one method will be there. For searching, one method will be there. Rather than writing 4 different controllers, in the same controller we will write 4 different methods, and each and every method will perform specific action. So, in the same controller is performing multiple actions. Okay, that's nothing but multi-action. Okay, let me write a simple person class. Do we have person class here already? No. Let me write a simple person class with which is having ID right? Is it okay? Now let me is it okay? Now the person class is there. Now let me write a controller which is the person controller, okay, which is a multi-action controller. Controller. Now let me write specific methods. Add person, this will write 4 methods. One is add person, one is update person, delete person, just I'll write 4 different methods. Okay, I'll write 4 different methods. Okay, one for add person, one for update person, one for delete person, and one for search for person. Okay, now let's consider that I have a simple HTML page. Index.jsp. Now let me write a new JSP. Where Okay. Now I have 4 links. Now, in general, if we don't use multi-action controller, what happens? For each and every link, there should be a specific controller. Okay. Now, let me consider like person.do. Okay. I'm giving person.do. All will go to, so this is okay. All will go to the person itself. Okay. All the hyperlinks will go to the person controller itself. Now, let me try to configure this person controller in the. Let me try to configure this person controller. Where it is in the configuration file. Now, the person controller is a multi-action controller. Let me configure the person controller. Okay. Now, for a multi-action controller, now let's consider like it will go to the person controller, right? But I click on add person. But how I can tell to the Spring that when I click on add person or when I click on add person, he should go to the method add person in the person controller. See, if I give like this, what happens? Whatever the link I click, see, if I give this, what happens? Whatever the link I click, it will go to the person controller only. But I need to specify, right? Okay. When I click on add person, okay, when I click on add person, then it will go to the person controller. Okay. When I click on some link, it should go to some other thing. When I click on something, it should go to some other method. Okay. Then how I can tell to the Spring that when I click on add person, it should go to something. When I click on something, it should go to something. When I click on something, it should go to something. How I can tell that to the Spring means, okay, just the Spring will have, okay, for multi-action controller, we should inject a bean with the name method resolver. We should inject a bean with the name method resolver for multi-action controller. Okay, that method resolvers, there are many method resolvers. We have parameter method name resolver. We have one of the method resolver is parameter method name resolver. That means we need to multi-action controller. We need to resolve the method name to which method the control should go. Okay, to which method the control should go. How we can resolve the method name means by making use of a method resolver. Property name equal to method resolver. Okay, let me do like this. Let me give the parameter as if I give it after question mark, what happens? It will go as a request parameter, right? I'm giving the method name as a request parameter here. The value as action type. What's the next one? Action type equal to I'm giving it as a request parameter. The request parameters can be given in any way. If it is a form, what happens? We'll give like a hidden or we'll give like a input type equal to text. In any way, we can give a request parameter. See, we are giving a request parameter with the name action type and with the value add person, update person, delete person, and search for person. Okay. Now, in the method name resolver, me see. Yes, we have not mapped the URL. Okay. I'll tell you this in the next class. Okay? As time is over, we need to make some arrange. I'll tell the detailed multi-action controller in the next class. Okay? Sharad, time being, just share this example. Okay?
Tomorrow